Today, we're going to continue our conversation on pacing. Yesterday we were talking about, are you happy with the progress you have in your life, in your career, in your health, in your relationships? And today, I want to talk about and continue that conversation by asking you, what do you do when you feel disappointed that things are not going as quickly as you want? We all have these slow moments in our lives where things are slowed down, or, in our careers, maybe we're not getting the promotions that we want. Maybe we're trying to figure out what we really want to do in our relationships or love life, where maybe we feel like we should be at a certain stage with family, with the spouses and all that stuff based on our age, or just meeting people that you connect with, or maybe we're just slowing our progress towards the big dreams that we have, that we want to build that business. We want to live in that, tropical location. We want to, explore and travel the world. And we just haven't checked off a lot of those things on our bucket list so far. And I remember in my first job at Walmart, probably about a year in, I remember waking up one morning and just thinking, like, how did I get here? Because I was highly stressed. I was not really loving the work that I was doing, and I couldn't figure out the next steps forward. Like, what did I really want to do with my life? Because, growing up, my parents were so focused on, you got to go to college, you got to get that good job, and everything will be fine. And so I went and I did that, right? I went to college, got my degree, went into the workforce, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with everything I had learned. And maybe you've had a moment in your life where, you've achieved a big goal or you've hit a big milestone and that you've been going after for quite a while. And then you're like, now what, So that's where I was. And I started, to realize that this constant feeling of overwhelm, this constant feeling of not being myself, of being lost, wasn't going to change unless I did something, right? There wasn't a like purpose brick that was going to hit me in the head one day and say, hey man, this is what you got to do. I needed to go out there and do something different to find that brick, because it's invisible and it doesn't exist. um, so after so many sleepless nights, I finally decided, okay, I'm going to just figure this out, right? And it took a lot of personal reflection, a lot of journaling, a lot of reading, like art books and books on philosophy and psychology and personal development, and like going to seminars and getting engaged in different ways and different perspectives of thinking that helped me get clear on what I really wanted to do with the next step in my life. Like, I didn't have it all figured out, but I knew that in that organization, I needed to shift my job. And eventually, after that happened, I'm like, got a little bit more information. It was like, oh, I need to switch careers altogether. And that's a whole other story that I'm sure if you've been with me for a while, you know about starting a business, moving to California, hanging out with my good buddy Dave, who's on Instagram. Shout out to Davo. Um, so here's the deal with all this, right? Here's the lesson is, if you are feeling disappointed that you're not advancing quick enough in your life, or you have those negative feelings of frustration that you've been sweating, you've been toiling, that you just have to figure out and get a clear vision of your future so you can re-engage with the positive emotions of progress. And what do I mean by that? That when we feel like we are in control of our lives, we're guiding it towards our destiny, that's when we feel on purpose. That's when we feel happy and excited to be living, to get up every day and say, man, I am, for better or for worse, directing the course of this ship. And I don't know where it's going to land or crash or whatever, but I know that it's going in a way that's more true to what I want out of life. So how can you reflect on this, right? So that's the big question then. If we need to re-engage and get that vision of what we want for our future and the futures of our families and our companies and our teams, really it comes down to this one question for me, right? This is the one that really shook me out of that malaise and got me seriously thinking about what I wanted to do in my life. And that's the question, are you living your truth? Like, are you doing what you really wanted to do? Does it feel right? Do you feel happy? Do you feel engaged and confident and present in the world? Or are you just getting by? Are you just surviving? Are you just doing what you're supposed to do because somebody else said this is what you're supposed to do? And that big question for me, when I was asked in a seminar room, I nearly like fell out of my chair, and I'm like, I want to be helping people a lot more than just building logistics systems for Walmart, or information technology for Walmart. So being able to realize that, I could then start to say, you know what? What are the steps do I need to take to be able to be around more people, to help more people? It allowed me to stay in that organization for a couple more years than I probably should have. But it was a really good, I loved the people there, and I loved the work that I did there from that point on, being able to switch from a developer to a business analyst. And so, like, it's not a love of people or a love of the work, but it just wasn't my thing. So, what is your truth? I mean, how many times have you reflected on that this past, today, this past week, this past month? And how aligned are you with that? And that's something that I do a lot of work with in my coaching practice. So if you're like, hey, I need more help figuring out what I want to do next, how I'm going to transform my life to really feel that joy, that confidence, that sense of presence in my life again, go to seanbutler.com/coaching to fill out a free strategy session questionnaire and qualify for a free 1-hour conversation where we can help you get some clarity around this part, because I'm telling you, you can do the work, you can do this, and it's transformative when you get this figured out. And maybe you're like, hey, I have a pretty good sense of where I want to go. I'm like, awesome. And how could you get there quicker, right? That's what we were talking about yesterday. But how could you do it better? What's the next level of awesomeness in that clear vision you have for yourself? Because so many people stop when they start to get comfortable. And again, as a coach, it's my job to kind of push you into that higher level of performance. So, any case, guys, I hope that was helpful. Do the social media thing. Share this with someone you think needs to hear this, who might be struggling on trying to find a job, trying to get to that next level in their life, trying to find that next level of quality relationship, and they feel stuck, because I'd love to help them. So do the social media thing, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.